then what was the second question?
Let us check. The second question is, what mistakes did you make?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. So many. So many. The one mistake that I really made that I want people to avoid at all costs is the mistake of being busy but having no income to show for it. It's really very bad. Like, you'll find yourself 5-10 years later, you were so busy, you hardly took a vacation, you hardly did, you have nothing to show for it, but you were so busy. That is one of the mistakes I made, is that I constantly was so busy, but I didn't have systems and procedures in place to be like, this is a service I'm offering, this is how much I need you to pay me, here's the invoice, pay me. I was doing this, I was doing that, I was helping this person, helping that person, and in the end I had nothing to show for it. And
wow.
Like, a person needs to understand that I'm very helpful. Like, I believe that we need to be helping each other, but I believe that we are more effective to help each other if we first help ourselves. So if we first make sure that our affairs are in order, and we have the income to sustain our life, and then we can then, because it's blessed to be a blessing. It's not just be a blessing. It's about being blessed first, and then being a blessing, because you're a better blessing if you are blessed yourself. One of my pastors likes to say, to give a car away, you first need to have a car. To give a house away, you need to have a house. And you can't be living on the streets and then you're giving a house away. How is that working? Because if you're living on the streets, you don't have a house to give away. It doesn't make sense. So don't, like, one of the first mistakes I made biggest mistakes I've made is that being busy but not having anything to show for it, because I didn't put in place those systems and procedures to make sure that I do a job, I get an income for it. So that's one of the biggest mistakes I made. And then I think the second mistake is just, it kind of aligns with the first one. It's not having your affairs in order. Hey, like, just, not having your registration in place, not opening a bank account, not keeping your slips, not recording your slips, all of that stuff. It accumulates and becomes like clutter in your brain, and you cannot work and create greatness from cluttered brain and a cluttered life and a cluttered business. You just cannot. And so that's I think one of the second biggest mistake I've made. It's just not putting things in place, and therefore being cluttered, and therefore not being able to create greatness because I was just so cluttered. And I think that the third biggest mistake I've made is that I don't know if I can call it a mistake, but I guess in a sense, not being bold enough to go for what I want. There's been many scenarios where I was like, oh, but this or but that. Like, there was there were many times where I wanted to apply to speak at a certain place, but I'm like, the people have more money than me, they live in better houses, they speak better than me, so how am I gonna go and stand in front of them and speak when I look like this and I don't have this, or things like that. So just not being bold enough to go for those things. And it all comes down to the importance of developing your confidence. Like I always say, clarity, confidence, and consistency. I'm telling you, those three things are the main things in business. You need to be clear about what you are doing. You need to have the confidence to do that thing you're doing, and just remain consistent in that. Yeah, so those are my mistakes.
And that part of clarity, last night I was listening to Uvosi, and he said that, when you're offering services, or when you're starting a business, you need to be clear about, okay, this is what I'm offering, and this is the price that I'm offering these services. And if they say it's too expensive, then move. This is what I'm offering. And Uti, he says that Pana kwa Lamborghini, they, like, if you go to Lamborghini and you say it's expensive, and then they'd ask you, Mhlambi bana, maybe
Okay,
they'd ask
Mbali.
Uyaba? Or they ask you, expensive, who are you comparing us to? And you'd be like, "Mhlambi, Toyota is much cheaper." Then they say, go to Toyota, bruh. You can't afford us. Then move. Yeah, bona. So
Yeah.
with I was very inspired. I'm like, you know what? And you must be confident in the services that you are offering.
Yeah.
Hi guys. Okay,
You know,
so
and you know what's another thing about being confident in the services you're offering and charging the price that you're meant to charge is that, you know, one thing I've noticed is that it's not that people don't have money. It's just that people decide where they're gonna spend their money at. Have you ever noticed a person who, let's say, doesn't have their kids doesn't have school shoes, but they've got an iPhone, and you're like,
yeah,
it wasn't a matter of the fact that they didn't have the money, because it costs money to buy an iPhone. So it's just that they decided where they're spending that money. It's the same as when they say we are going through a recession, and they're like, there's no money. I've seen articles like that where they're like, there's no money, we're going through a recession, everybody's suffering. Then you see like complexes being built and people buying a small little apartment for 1.9 million, and you're like, that's almost 2 million for a little apartment. And yet people are reporting that there's no money, and they're reporting that we're in a recession. I'm just like, it's priorities. Hey, people are gonna spend where they want to spend. You just need to make sure that you position yourself in such a way that people do spend on what you are offering.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, what is the one thing you're proud to have achieved? You are proud to have achieved in building your business.
Sure. I think just I don't know how you quantify it, but the impact that we've achieved over the last 5 years, it's so big. You know, I've been part of projects where, in my personal capacity and in the business capacity, where at the end of the project, you know, people have businesses and they're earning an income. For me, nothing is better than that. Hey, like, it's so groundbreaking to see someone go from not having an income at all to now they have an income, and it's a consistent income, you know. And I think and another achievement I'm really proud of is just seeing how much confidence I've been able to give people. I have people message me saying, you know, I was doubting, and then I saw this one little video of yours, and then I went for it. And it's been amazing, because it's not been just one type of person that's been inspired. It's been men, women, it's been blacks, whites, it's been young, old, you know. And one thing that really touched me was when I was, you know, doing a personal development training, and one of the late almost all the ladies were older than me. I mean, like 95% of the ladies were older than me, and not just like older than me by a year or so, older than me as in like these women can be my mothers, you know. And then I came in my heels and my suit. I teach what I teach. I do what I do. And at the end, this lady came and she held my hands and she's like, "My child, thank you. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much this meant for me. When you first came in, I was one of the people that was judging you. I didn't want to listen, because I asked myself, what can you teach me? But the more you spoke, I realized that you're not speaking from a childish point. You're not speaking from an uneducated point. You're speaking, I can see that you've researched, you know, the things that you're saying. I can see that you put heart and you put life and love in the things that you're teaching." And she was like, "Thank you," you know. And that lady, I watch her now on life is different, you know. She was taking care of her children's children, so her grandchildren, and her children are all around the you know, South Africa, and a lot of them not earning anything. And now they're happy and whole, you know. And I'm just like, can't believe that in my youngness, in my blackness, in my femaleness, in all those things, that should people generally judge me for, I was able to transform a life like that, you know. So those are really some of my greatest achievements. And then also sharing stages with some really phenomenal people, like sharing stages with the former Minister of Tourism, Derek Hanekom, sharing stages with people like Nicolette Mashile, who is a financial boffin.
You lie.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
No, I'm jealous. Where? Like, when?
It was last year March. Yeah, last year March, I got invited to speak at a business and fashion exchange event, and one of the speakers was Nashile, and some of the other speakers there as well are not as well known as she is, but they're doing like work across Africa, like really big names. And so yeah, it's yeah.
No, but Nicolette's life, can we just agree on that, guys?
Yeah, no, absolutely. She is live. She is so live. I'm like, oh, I try to connect. I'm like a man who's trying to shell her. I'm like sliding into DMs constantly, like
do
like,
that.
Girl,
Keep on doing that.
I love you and I want you to love me back, because we see Sonke.
No, that lady, she is amazing.
Yeah, she is.
I can't believe you shared stage with her. Oh, I'm so jealous, Mbali. I am so jealous right now. I want to cry. But one day,
absolutely. If you continue on the path that you're on, I'm telling you, you're gonna be there.
You think?
No, absolutely, babes.
Next question. Are you there?
I am here, yes.
This thing is starting again. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, the next question is, what other activities do you engage in, and how do you balance it with your business or with your businesses?
So obviously I've got the entrepreneurship part, I've got the speaking part, I've got the YouTube content creating part. I am also part of the executive team of an organization that does skills development and job creation projects, and so I do that as well. I have the other businesses that I haven't mentioned, and the other income generating efforts that I haven't really mentioned, or that aren't really at the forefront. I believe I'm a leader in my church, and I obviously also a family person, and I'm one of those people who's really trying to be invested in my friendships and in the community that I'm in. And so those are all some of the other things that I do. I think I just balance it all by I don't know if I won't, like, I focus on what needs to be focused on, and I prioritize, like, what's important at the moment is one of the biggest things. You ask yourself what's important, and you work on what's important now. But also planning, planning people. My goodness, sometimes I will take out like A4 papers or like A3 papers, and I'll just lay it down on the table, and I'll be like, these are all the things that I'm busy with, and I'll like make individual to-do lists for everything. And so that is how I try and making sure that I know where I need to be at, what I need to be doing, and I plan. And I cannot say, I'm not gonna lie, I cannot say I haven't all figured out. Like, it's a lot of times, like, actually last night I didn't sleep. I only went to bed at 6 a.m. this morning because I had admin that was a month late, that I needed to submit, and so I worked throughout the night, and so that's why I think I was so behind schedule with everything today, because I slept so late, I woke up late, and I was tired most of the day, and so I can't say that I am like a boffin at it. I'm just doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, and doing it with as much vigor as possible. And then also, one of the biggest things, ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask for help. Like, this is something I'm really learning. You don't have to be doing it, particularly you yourself, all the time. If it's something that someone else can do it. And like, it's something I'm learning, because, like, for example, for example, like, when we're talking about the poster for that we were gonna make for the thingy, I was like, okay, I'll quickly make a poster, and and then afterwards I was like, but whoa, fam, like, why are you raining on Lebu's parade? Like, so in the poster when on her live, like, what's your deal? Calm down. And when I asked you, should I make a poster, it's not like I had the time for it. And so thank God I woke up in time to be like, okay, I'm sorry, babes. Or I'm sorry, babes. Can you do your thing, and then I'll just come when I need to come. So asking for help is so important. Just ask for help and don't try and do everything. This whole idea of superwoman is like, you're not gonna get it right all the time. Do what you can when you can do it, but also just work hard. Like, don't be lazy. Sometimes it's really that simple. Don't be lazy. Like, wake up, work. Yeah.